I'm standing here with Breanna. Okay. And we just met at the Heart of the Horse here in 2024. And she's so brave and so kind to take a moment to answer 3 questions that are really designed to really inspire people to help heal the financial divide. Just based on just sharing your own personal experience.
Totally.
Maybe you can tell just a little bit of context. What stage in life are you at right now?
Absolutely. I'm currently a student at Mount Royal University. I'm going into my 3rd year at university, but my 1st year in my new program. I'm in the communications program there, and I really, really love it. But money as a post-secondary student is kind of an interesting topic sometimes.
What would you say is interesting about it? Like what specific things you say that?
I think a lot of us get really trapped in that idea of being a broke student, and that being a broke student means that we can't experience life as much as we want to just because we're studying. And I disagree with that. I think that being young, we're supposed to be experiencing the world and not letting our studies keep us back from that and the financial stress that comes from being in your studies.
Right. So how have you coped as a post-secondary student?
I think the biggest thing that I try to remind myself is that it's an investment in myself, both in time and money. And that one day, if I put my heart, my passion, and my money into that money will eventually come back to me. I know that I'm making a solid investment in myself, and it's something that I'm interested in, and that money is eventually going to go do something great for me in the future.
You know what? I really like what you just said there, because I think a strong element of having a good sense of financial health is having faith. Out of all the thought leaders I've ever followed, all of my mentors that I've ever had around finances, every single one of them has spoken about the unseen aspect, which is faith. So that's really great that you have that sense. So one of the first questions that you chose actually is, what are the steps that you've taken to manage your money when you're out of school? How do you know that's going to help you to be independent in the future?
I think being aware of what my money is doing, and not just being just a student, but also being aware of where that money is going, has just kind of really helped make me feel very adult in my life. And that's kind of a big step of university, is that, you're putting yourself and thinking about a career that's going to eventually open money up. But it's not right there, right? It's not in your account or anything. So the steps that I've taken to manage my money, especially, I'm not just a student, but I'm also a horse girl. So I have to be quite smart with my money as a student, and just being aware and trying to remind myself that if I am going to be spending money as a student, it needs to be an experience, something that is helping me out in life, not just Starbucks or clothes, the things that we all get a little bit distracted on, right?
Yes.
So just trying to make sure that I'm making smart choices with my money, and where my money is especially, and not, what savings accounts I'm in, if it's a high interest savings account, or what can I do to kind of maximize the little money that I have as a student.
How often would you say you manage your money on a weekly basis?
I try to check my finances at least once a week and just do a little bit of a check-in, see that I'm, not overspending what I have, and being aware, because I do have to keep my animals fed, as well as have to keep my school in line as well. Those are my 2 priorities. And being aware of where my money is so important. I have lots of girlfriends that are like, I don't even check my account. I don't even check my account. But just having that awareness in the back of your head, check it once a week, really does a lot of good for you.
Yeah. I think there's an extra drive to manage your money when there's a certain level of responsibility you have in the background. Like taking care of your horses means it's a living being. It's not a nice to do. It's a have to do.
Yeah.
So I think that probably is, in some ways, that's just a different style of responsibility. Some post-secondary students don't have any of the responsibility except for themselves and hoping that they do well in their studies, right? So,
and equally, as much as I talk about taking care of my horses, for those that don't have that, that's taking care of yourself as well, right? Like having enough money to make sure you're eating meals that are fueling your brain, right? Not just Papa John's at 11 o'clock at night, but going and making sure you have the right groceries and enough money, especially because nowadays groceries are expensive.
Yeah.
So it's
true. And so what would you say in relation to, do you get a lot of your finances through money that was saved through a registered education savings fund? Or is it more like a student loan? Or is it just something that you have to work towards at the same time?
I have a little bit of all 3 of them. I have a registered education fund, which I'm super, super excited about, but school is getting even more expensive every day. So making sure that I'm applying for scholarships and bursaries, being aware of that. And I am a server as well. So I do have a job.
Oh my gosh.
So I do have a job as well. And that I kind of keep for myself. I would like to have a little bit of experiences whilst I'm in school. And then I also, one of the biggest things my grandpa told me when I was young was don't be afraid to borrow some money. And so I do have my student funds as well. And especially right now, they've really slashed the interest rates for students.
Yeah.
So taking advantage of that. And I try my best to keep that money in a high interest savings account. So it's still building for me whilst I'm using it.
I like that. I like it a lot. I like what your grandpa has so mentioned. His idea and thought process is it's okay to leverage money from time to time. One of the things that we teach Rancho Mate, it's all about leverage money because needs of financing in this lifetime. Actually, this is taught by our mentor, our Nelson Nash, God rest his soul, but he always used to say, like, it's who owns the debt, who owns the banking institution in your life is what matters the most because our need for financing is greater than our need for death benefit.
Totally.
And so as you borrow money, you want to make sure that you get yourself into a position where you're going to end up in a position of borrowing money from yourself rather than from someone else. Because as you may or may not recognize at this point, like if you're borrowing money off a credit card or if you're borrowing money from like a student loan, choosing control of that debt is what matters the most.
Absolutely.
And so I 100% agree with your grandma. Get yourself in a position where you get to borrow from you.
Totally.
Yeah. So with challenges like paying bills, what advice would you give to other students who are just starting out?
So this year, I actually, unfortunately, one of my horses passed, and it was in January during the midst of school. And unfortunately, I was faced with a big bill that I wasn't hoping for or looking forward to paying. And it was really, really quite stressful. But sometimes it's those little goals, right? Just, all right, I skipped Starbucks this week. I have a couple extra $100. Let me put that towards that vet bill, and realizing that it's okay to take a little bit of time in paying that back. And that as a student, everybody knows that money's not coming out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
But just those little pennies that you can save here and there, changing horse feed. I buy a lot of things secondhand as a student and just trying to get a little bit creative about how I can save a little bit more money and keeping a little bit of a rainy day fund is kind of what I really learned from that. Just have a little bit of a cushion there of a couple $100 just in case something like that does happen. Or I know I had a friend this year who unfortunately had a really bad concussion and couldn't work while she was in school.
Right.
And it really made a big difference in having a little bit of a cushion of that money. Then she was able to focus on her studies and focus on healing and not working.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. I hope you're getting so much inspiration.
I appreciate that.
What's the funnest and best way you found to save money while still enjoying life?
I think the big thing that I share with all my friends is while you're at this age, we're trying to experience life, spend money on experiences,
Yeah.
Go to the concert if you want. And maybe that means you spend that money and you're not getting the concert tea or anything, but you're there. You're enjoying your experience and looking at all the fun things that you can do for free as well. Like just going on a walk with your friend and, try to have as many human interactions as you can that don't cost all the money, but you're still experiencing some fun things in life.
Yeah.
And it's a good break as a student, but just try to get creative about the ways that you're experiencing life. Like, for instance, my friends and I would go to the park on Fridays after school and we would study. Maybe we would do a little bit of drawing in our journals and we're not spending any money, but we're having a fun Friday night experience instead of going out to the club and spending a couple $100 on drinks and stuff. Instead, we're equally working on ourselves and spending no money and having fun.
Oh my gosh. So, you know what? All the things I've heard in there, and this is why I think why you're in communications, which they should have like a whole other degree section on connection. You just talked the things about connecting to each other. It's about communication, connection, and all of that sort of stuff, which is really great. Like all of the things that you just suggested right now is all about the long-term impact and what you're spending your money on. It's like, if you're going to go to a concert, that's like a memory. It goes far beyond a cup of coffee that just is you drink and then you throw it in the garbage and you don't think about it until your next one that you get. Yeah. Right. What you've shared today is just great.
Thanks.